So I'm out camping at the moment. If you want to see a video about that, see one of my latest videos. I'm at Teddington Reservoir. Anyway, of course, I've brought a book with me to read, and I'm going to talk about that. But I'll also mention the last couple of books I've read as well. Excuse my voice, I'm just coming off a bit of a flu thing. So the last two books I read, one was called Live Bait by P.J. Tracy. I've mentioned them before. And this book is the second in the Monkey Wrench series. And I wanted to read that one in particular because I was interested to see how the Monkey Wrench group was going to continue on in another murder story, another investigation. Well, it was an interesting story and it was a good read, I must admit. I did enjoy it and I recommend it. The story revolved about some elderly Jewish people that had survived the Holocaust and were being knocked off. So there was some presumption that, is it some Nazi guy that's killing these people, or what's the go and why? They're going to die anyway. They're so old. What's the go? Anyway, I'm not going to say too much about the story, but the investigation is undertaken by the investigator that was involved in the last story. And they do eventually seek the help of the crew of the Monkey Wrench team. Well, at least the female leader, one of the females involved anyway, who he took a fancy to in the last book. So she does help a little bit. But if you read the story and you pay attention a bit, I think you can maybe work out who the actual culprit is, who the murderer is. And I think I worked it out not really easily soon, but when this person was sort of started to get mentioned, I just started to have a bit of a sneaky suspicion about them. I don't know why. I just seem to have a gut feeling about it. Anyway, it proved to be the case, and, it was a pretty good book. As far as the Monkey Wrench crew, though, there really wasn't a lot of involvement of them in this book. And maybe that's just the stepping stone, because they were in the process, or the rest of the team was in the process of moving to another place. And they were going to change their name originally because they didn't want the negative impact of the Monkey Wrench murders, if you want to call it that way, the game, to affect what they wanted to do. After throwing a few names around, they decide to hell with it. They're going to stick with that name. Anyway, so they're in this book. They're in the process of moving. So I'm assuming in the third book they're going to be established in their new setup, and they'll probably become involved in some new series of murders, because there's 10 books in this series as far as I recall. That also might happen is the detective, he's going to be separated from his girlfriend, who's in this Monkey Wrench crew. So what's going to happen there? I think they were going to Florida, were they? Was it Florida? So will he follow them there, or will they break up? I don't know. Actually, I've got a sneaky suspicion they're going to probably stick together. So she's adamant that she's going to move. In fact, she is moving. At the end of the book, she was already in their fancy mobile home to go to the destination. So she was on her way. So I think he's going to end up joining her. The next book I read was one by James Lee Burke, a Dave Robichaud series novel. I haven't read one for a little while, and I was looking forward to reading it. It was called A Private Cathedral. I've liked all his books, James Lee Burke's book, the Dave Robichaud series. And again, he's not a cop, but then ends up becoming a cop again. He's in and out of this cop business all the time. And, I've lost track of how old this guy is. He's ancient, and he's still in there, and he's still fighting the good fight to get the bad guys down who do the wrong things. And there definitely was some bad guys in this. It's a similar story that always happens, the same sort of thing. Him and Cleet Purcell, busting heads and pushing the limits of what their authority allows, but it's good. It is good. So the story is pretty much similar to what happens in every other story. The bad guys cause them grief and, they end up stomping on a few heads. The only different thing about this book, and I'm not sure if I'll like it or not, in this book, there's a bit of supernatural going on. Now, there's been hints of supernatural in some of the other books, but nothing that you couldn't put down to his drinking or the results of his drinking. There was one of his earlier books, I forgot what it's called now. In that particular book, that Confederate-based book, whatever it was, you could have still put it down to the result of his drinking. And because you were seeing these Confederate soldiers marching and going past and all that sort of stuff. And he had a bit of a interaction with dead spirits. Now, you can put that down to his drunken state and et cetera, et cetera. But in a private cathedral, you can't do that because this supernatural entity causes mayhem and murders people, kills people that other people see. And you can't put it down to just some person doing it randomly or some murderer. It's not that easy to do that. Perhaps you could stretch your imagination and say it was a real person, but the book makes it clear that it was this supernatural entity. And to me, that makes the Robichaud series start to change. Are the subsequent books going to be more supernatural like this? I don't know. I haven't got any more books, but I have ordered the next one. It's called Cleet. And it makes me think, because these guys are getting on too, and Cleet's always pushing his luck. And how he hasn't been killed already, I don't know. And I thought he was going to die in this one, to be honest. When you read this book, you'll realise why I say that. So I thought he was going to die. I might be spoiling it a little bit here, but he doesn't die because the next book's called Cleet. So I'm wondering if the book called Cleet is going to be his final appearance. I don't know. I'm just guessing. I won't know until I get that. I've got that on pre-order. So I don't think I'll be getting that until January. So it'll be a while before I comment about that book. But that's my suspicion. But it too was a good book and I liked it. And the right people are getting hurt and getting their comeuppance. And again, James Lee Burke, he writes so well and it's just captivating. You just can't help turning the page one after the other and you realise it's late and you got to be going to bed. And then when you go to bed, you think, I'll just read one more chapter and it ends up being 5. Another well-written book, another one that I liked. So on to what I'm reading at the moment. I'm going to already start reviewing this one. This is Bartimaeus, The Ring of Solomon. Now, Bartimaeus is a character that's already been in the trilogy. There's already a trilogy of books that I've actually talked about before, and they're so good. I think the market for these books is on the children's side, but it's sort of like Harry Potter. Adults love them too. And adults will like this book. If you like that fantasy, demon, historical, ancient times sort of genre, then you'll really like this book. Jonathan Stroud does an excellent job on painting the pictures of these demons and the situations and the circumstances, and he's just so good. You can picture it all, and I have no trouble seeing what he's saying. And Bartimaeus, the character, he's a demon that's summoned. He gets entrapped. There's many demons that get trapped by magicians that say certain words and they're in a pentacle and keep themselves safe from these demons. And there's all sorts of levels of demons and different varieties, and some are more dangerous than others. And Bartimaeus, he is what they call a 4th level jinn. He's got quite a bit of power, but he's not the most powerful. There are others that are more powerful, and he faces one himself because they do fight each other as well at times. They have to do the bidding of the magicians, and so Bartimaeus is caught by a very powerful magician. He's got quite a few different demons enslaved, and he's got one very interesting one enslaved. I don't want to spend too much time on that, and I don't want to sort of spoil it. But he has enslaved and captured a very powerful demon. But this demon doesn't not like it. He actually likes Kabar a great deal. And there's some sort of symbiosis between these two that makes them very scary and powerful. Anyway, Bartimaeus, he upsets quite a few people, including the King of Solomon. And the King of Solomon has got a very powerful ring on his finger, and just with a slight twist, he can make all sorts of things happen by summoning all these different demons and to do his bidding. So everybody's scared. Nearby countries are scared because he just does so much. He can annihilate things and build things in a night and all that sort of stuff. Bartimaeus has upset King Solomon. He's enslaved by Kabar and ends up in a little tiny bottle. And there's this woman called Asmira, and she wants to kill Solomon because he's threatening the land where she comes from. Kabar has taken a fancy to her when he's sort of come across her in the desert, which she was set upon by demons, and Bartimaeus saves her. And he could have eaten her, but he didn't. He chose not to. And then when Bartimaeus was imprisoned by Kabar in this little bottle, Kabar ends up getting drunk at a bit of a function, and Asmira steals this little bottle and smashes it and frees Bartimaeus. But his freedom is short-lived because Asmira uses a binding spell and enslaves him. And she enslaves him so he can help her kill Solomon, or at least steal the ring, and so her country can be saved from the threats of King Solomon. So that's pretty much where I'm up to, and that's probably as much as you need to know. The book is excellent reading, so I don't need to finish it to say read it. It is really good. It's really enjoyable. I think kids would love it. If they love Harry Potter stuff, they would love this. I recommend this and the trilogy that followed this book. So this is a prequel to the trilogy. So those three books, Live Bait, The Private Cathedral, and The Ring of Solomon as part of the Bartimaeus series, all good books, and I recommend them all. Thanks for watching again. While I'm out here enjoying the serenity, it's so peaceful out here. If you're keen on camping, watch the video that I made about this place and the others that I've done. So I'll see you next time on another book review. Thanks for watching.